Good morning, everyone. This is Dave White, VP of Textiles for Loom Textiles, and I'm joined this morning by Suzanne. Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, Dave.
You know, it's interesting. We were just talking about this, what today's subject's going to be about, and we actually just got done with a really interesting discussion amongst our teams about product, and it struck me as interesting, and we had just had this discussion that the pandemic has really forced us to have a lot of discussions about where we are, where we're going, and what's it going to look like afterwards. And it struck me that this is really a time of a lot of creative destruction. You know, in the old ways of how we were doing things now aren't applicable, and then we have the now is dealing with the pandemic and how we continue to grow, but then there's the after part of it as well. And the key for us is really that we not design out of defensively or out of fear, but that we design product for long term, but integrating all of these changes that are forcing us to do it. And it's a really interesting process because it evokes a lot of emotions and it evokes a lot of but it is all centered around change. And it's interesting because it also gives us the opportunity to do some really creative and different things that we really probably would have been more reluctant to do before, but now we're like, yeah, let's do it. This is the time to try that. So it's an interesting time for all of us, and Suzanne this morning is going to share with us the Vedic worldview on the integration of life and design, and that you know, the key to doing that and the key to living a creative life. The first thing is we need to unstress, to allow yourself the ability to think creatively. So with that, Suzanne, good morning.
Cool. It sounds like you've been meditating, Dave.
I have. I've spent a lot of time around you, Suzanne. It rubs off.
Rub it off. Actually, that's what they say. If you're a meditator, that the soma, the energy that comes from the twice-a-day meditation practice rubs off on you. And even if you're not meditating, the energy is something that everyone can benefit from. So the talk today is really something that, you know, I've realized that we needed to start embodying in our studio after I started about 4 years ago, you know, with this this tradition of meditation, which is called Vedic meditation, which is actually an offshoot of where TM started. It's you know, when the Vedic worldview started, they stepped away from the techniques that TM teaches, but used the main model of the Mahesh Yogi's practice, and continue to have a practice where you have a teacher that works with you individually, and it's not an online type of practice. I've tried many, and this was the one that really stuck well for me. And I think that yeah, we can move to the next slide. But to me, one of the things that that has been very clear for me as I started 6 months in, I had my whole team initiated into this practice. We try to meditate at 3 in the afternoon or 3:30. In the beginning of the day, everyone's on their own, and it's really the practice itself is balanced out by a morning practice and an afternoon or early evening practice. And what that does is it allows that later in the afternoon, any accumulated stress that you get during the day, you unstress, because really what our bodies are filled with at a very molecular level is a lot of stress from childbirth. Actually, if you believe in past lives, from lives and generations, and that is a real thing. And as you start this meditation practice, which is a mantra-based meditation, what it allows you to do is to dig deep into who you really are and your true being. And that true being is your nature. And it's interesting for me to realize that we are all really one with nature. And that's been one of the silver linings that we've all heard about, is that all of a sudden we're hearing birds more, and we're seeing trees, you know, leaves on trees in a different way. We're seeing the ocean, for me, in a different way. I've never spent as much time at the ocean in my life, and I have since, you know, April when I got back from India. And so one of the things about creating a very kind of a creative lifestyle for oneself is to unstress. And it's very hard to be creative when you are a big stress blob all the time and you can't relax, and everything's agitating you. It's very hard to feel the clarity of what it feels like to see the lens of nature supporting you and giving you clues all the time on what's next to do. I mean, this picture here is really an image of something that happened where I was just sitting at my desk, and I'm creating these webinars and these little videos for Loom lately, and I looked out and it was kind of a gloomy sky, and I have all these memos of all of our collections sitting next to me, and I kind of looked at the vignette the vista I was looking at. I took a little snapshot, and then I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, I've got all of the colors right here, you know? And so then I started creating palettes, and I just had the most, you know, fabulous time playing with this and really creating a color palette based on what I was seeing. And I think that that exploration for me was like one of these kind of gifts that I thought, you know, at any time, you know, the creative impulse can come out. It's just that we have to be aware that it's in there, and we have to encourage it, and we have to tap deep into who we are and remember that we're here to be creative all the time. So that's something that I just wanted to share with you. These are images that we kind of play around with all the time. And then I was asked to do, you know, NeoCon was rolling around, and I was asked to do something, you know, what are you doing to be creative, Suzanne? How are you, you know? And here I am kind of ordering crackers and ordering things to eat and all this stuff. And I've got like all these boxes in my studio, my summer studio. And I thought, God, I could make this box into a loom. And so, and a lot of my friends out at the beach know that I make sculptures out of Mylar balloons. And I was like, what could I do to give back to this community? And so I just posted on the local news area and on my website and stuff like that, that I was going to give a weaving workshop. And even though it was during COVID, everyone has to wear masks, and we can be out on the deck, and we can be in this, you know, this open room with all the windows going and everything. And some people were very, you know, concerned about coming, but it was packed. I mean, it was like signed up, well, the list was packed at the beginning, and I was like, I was going to cut it off at 13. I just thought, that's enough people. We can have 5 or 6 in the front deck. We can have 3 or 4 in the back. We got 4 or 5 on the table. And everyone came, and people had not come out at all. And everyone wore their masks. Everybody was respectful. It started at 6:30, and people didn't leave till 10:30. And and so there's a video on it. And it's just like, what I found is that because of my ability to sit and do this twice a day meditation practice, my energy and my adaptability is much stronger than it ever was before. I was like a napper. You know, I would do a nap in the afternoon, and I think that's one of the reasons I always had a work-live studio, so that I could kind of duck out, take a nap for 20, 30 minutes. And I don't need those naps anymore. I get to meditate. Meditation is 5 times more relaxing than, is more restful than sleep, because in sleep, you're constantly in a conscious state. in action, to be ready for action if there's a fire, or if for some reason a tiger comes into the tribe or whatever. It's embedded in us to take action. So sleep is not as restful as meditation is. So it's just one of these things that once you learn how to go to that level, unstressing allows you to see things much more clearly. So this is one of the things about what they say in the Vedic worldview is follow your charm. And, you know, we all have, you know, we're working, I guess I was on a talk yesterday, and Primo from O+A said that, you know, there's a percentage of hours that we're working so much more than now that we're at home, because there's not travel to work, there's not going out and getting something to eat, there's, you know, you're always around your work. I've lived that life for the last 27 years, working and living in the same space. But it's a different action when you are a meditator, because what happens is your mind is constantly looking at, when you have open time, what's charming you to go and do something that you really want to do. And I actually happen to have a weaving that has been on my loom since last year that I had never finished. And your mind at a relaxed state is constantly looking for what's going to make you the most happy at any given time. It's a natural phenomenon that your mind will do that, unless you're totally stressed and you're constantly stressed about every little last detail. And you may be, and if you are that type of person, this is unfortunately our last TikTok of the series. But I do give talks every other Sunday. There's one this Sunday. Just a plug, and I am initiating people to this this technique. It's something that I love to do. I do it on the weekends, and I do it in the evenings and stuff like that. But if that is something that you want to do, you know, log in on Sunday, every other Sunday. It'll probably start being every Sunday morning. And we meditate, and then we talk about all of these kind of knowledge. I do knowledge talks about how the Vedic worldview works. So following charm means you go to what is pulling you, what is charming you. And I went down and I started weaving on my loom. This was like this last month, and I thought, oh my God, it feels so good to be back on this loom, and I'm weaving and I'm weaving and I'm weaving. And the next day I get a call from a person who, I didn't get a call, I got a text from a person on Instagram that said, do you really weave with Mylar balloons? Can I commission one? And I was like, oh my God, sure. And I know it was because I was honoring my charm. I went downstairs, I started weaving on this. I started working, you know, so now I have to finish this one so I can start this new commission. And then before the end of that day, I got another text from someone else, and I got 2 more commissions. It's just, things happen when you give yourself the ability to follow the charm that is being offered to you. So it's a really interesting thing to follow that creative impulse as you move forward. So one of the things that we always talk about is that the rule of 3s. So things happen in 3s, like all of a sudden I had 3 commissions. We've got 3 launches this year in September, which is really, really exciting. One for Tarkett, and one for Loom, and one for Skyline Glass. And who would have known at the beginning of the year, these launches were spread out in all different ways. And all of a sudden, there's going to be this whole kind of resurgence of all of our product coming out at one time. So it's really exciting. We're all very excited in the studio to have so much, this abundance of beautiful product that will be launched into the marketplace right now. So, you know, those things happen very, you know, not that often, and all of a sudden they are happening. So So this number three, this the cycle of three elements, which is creation, maintenance, and destruction. And this is a big, big, big topic, much larger than I could even tap into today. But what I can talk about is those things that are relevant in your life will remain relevant as long as you nurture those things. And when there are things that you are just simply maintaining, those things that have a very, very small amount of relevance and or not relevant at all, those things are in a maintenance cycle. And once things become irrelevant, it could be food in your pantry, it could be relationships that you're having with friends, with loved ones, that you realize that there's not a lot of companionship any longer, or there's not your flavor for that type of food is no longer there. That when that starts to happen, then destruction will come into play. And destruction is where you need to let go, because unless you let go of the irrelevant behavior, even your behavior can be irrelevant and can cause destruction. And I mean, I think this is what we're kind of experiencing right now. A lot of irrelevant, behavior that is very destructive. So from maintenance comes destruction if there's not any relevance in you maintaining whatever that is. And from destruction then comes creation, and it allows new things to happen. Like this is what's happening right now. I mean, people were working so hard and flying all over the world for so long, and schools have gotten so expensive and all of these things, and we've been maintaining this load for so long that there was a lot of irrelevance happening in the world. And that is why I believe that the whole pandemic came around, and that we're in this place of destruction to creation. It's a cycle, it's a real thing. You can look it up on you can Google it and see a lot of people have spoken about this topic. And it's where creation really starts manifesting itself in a different way. And it's a very, very exciting time that we're in right now, to choose to let go of anything that you're just kind of maintaining. It's not giving you pleasure really, and move on to something before it gets destructive, because it's going to happen. That happens all the time. So anyway, so that's the concept of creation, maintenance, and destruction. And this is this is a silly little thing that happened a couple weeks ago, and I've been posting this. I love this picture because I was in a really, really sour mood. I mean, it was first thing in the morning, and I knew that the day I had to have some discussions that I really wasn't like looking forward to having. And I was like in one of those kinds of like, even though I had meditated and everything, and I'm like, I've got to go take a walk because I just need to get this out of my head. And I was realizing that I was a little agitated. And so I took a walk, and I walked past this board, this little board, skim board, at the beach, and it was about 15 minutes from my house. And I was looking, I'm like, there's nobody around, and I'm like, well, who would have left this here? This is like crazy. It's going to disappear. And somebody like, why would they do that? And I was it was like a little unnerving to me. And I didn't, I just walked past it, and I just said, all right, well, I'm not going to deal with it. It's not my responsibility. Even though I wanted to take it and put it down, and I just didn't know. But then I'm looking around, and and so I went for my walk. I go up about 30, 40 more minutes, and I turn around and I come walking back, and there is that board again. And then that board, and I had decided halfway when I got to where my turnaround was, I'm like, I am not going to think anymore in any kind of destructive way at all. I'm only going to think positive thoughts and get back into this kind of creative mode. And I have control of my mind. I don't need to, you know, stay in that kind of stress ball mode that I was in before I left. And I'm like, look at how beautiful it is. And I'm like, and look at how beautiful this board is, this skim board is. And I was like, oh my God, I started taking pictures of it. I started laughing because I was like criticizing it on the way, on the way from my walk and then on the way back. So this is kind of what we do. Like right now, Dave talked about the fact that we were having this discussion about our, you know, our meet, you know, how are we going to handle our product plan? How are we going to do this and all of this stuff? And with, you know, it's like really, really up to us to become very creative on how to manage, you know, how we launch things, when things happen, and look at the positive side of these things and constantly kind of ask the questions, not being afraid to ask the right questions, and to really kind of get into who your true nature is. And I think a lot of times we're very fearful about asking a question. And I pointed one out to Dave today. I'm like, can I put some ink in the ointment today? And he started laughing. He goes, all right, go for it. And I was like, is this how this was? It's like, this is how we should think about this. And it was kind of like, it was a great conversation, because from that conversation, we're like, oh my God, we can use that information to adjust another thing in the product plan. And so I just want people to know that you have the ability to unstress this anxiety and this level of fear and sadness and all kinds of emotions that people are feeling right now, by your own means. And meditation is one. There's a lot of different types of meditation, and you know, reach out to people that you know can help you, and or try different types of meditation until you find the one that helps. If they say, if you know, almost if 1 to 2% of the population meditated, we'd have a totally different outcome of how the world and sustainability and how we're handling one another and the planet and everything like that. So I think I've used up my, is this a 20-minute talk? Is that what we're supposed to be doing? So if you've got any questions at all, I think you can you know, post them in the chat. Just so you know, our launch for Mutable Matter for the Loom brand will be on September 15th. We're really excited about that. And this has been a fun series. This is the fourth and the last. I'm gonna miss these series. I don't know, maybe we wanna keep them going, but but if not, I'm always available on Sunday mornings. And if you you can do this, follow this, you can follow Loom, whatever. If you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free. Don't be out there living in fear and not enjoying yourselves right now. We're in a huge creative impulse in time right now, and now's the time to be playful and joyful and get through everything that we're going. When things are not relevant, things are made. It's all about evolution, and we're all in a very evolutionary time right now. Always are. Things are always changing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Suzanne, thank you so much. I think that I actually, as you said, I'm a big believer in that, and creative destruction. I think we're in a really interesting period, and I hope that we all can unstress, and that'll help us all be more creative and happier. So
yeah, it's the time. I think we all, I mean, we're seeing it, Dave, on our, you know, weekly, daily conversations, how to adjust. And not, you know, it's not all about, you know, everything doesn't have to be you know, this high performance, like Verasite cleanable, blah, 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 all of that. You know, we're culturing just beauty, having beautiful materials in your spaces now when you come back to work, and stuff like that are very, very important as well. So
yeah, more holistic approach.
Yeah, a holistic approach. It's not all about the we have to be very cognizant about performance and about sustainability. That stuff's not going to go away unless we're, very clear about how we're specifying things, and designing things.
Did I mention, Suzanne, I think I may have forgotten to mention this. When you come to 1150 next time, and when you enter the building, we're going to spray you with viricide. So just be aware of that.
Very funny.
Just totally kidding. Perspective. We want to keep it all in perspective. All right. Well, I don't think there's any questions, Suzanne.
Any questions there, Daniela? I can't see anything.
No questions today, but we're, as we said, follow us and follow Suzanne on social media, etc. And we appreciate your time this morning, Suzanne. Thanks so much for sharing with us.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy.
All right. Take care, everyone.